Imagine someone comes up to you and just offers you a pill.
Okay. Like a magic pill.
Yeah, exactly. And they tell you that if you swallow it, you will instantly be able to hear like every single acoustic frequency in the
Oh,
universe.
wow. That sounds incredibly overwhelming.
Right. But wait, it gets crazier. You'll also be able to see every spectrum of light, from infrared all the way to ultraviolet.
Wow.
And as a bonus, you will literally never need to sleep again.
I mean, in Silicon Valley or really anywhere in the modern biohacking community, they would probably call you a god for taking that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You would be the ultimate optimized human.
For sure.
But according to this really radical translated text from 2009 that we are looking at today, taking that pill wouldn't actually make you enlightened at all.
No.
No, it would basically make you a mutant who fundamentally missed the entire point of the universe.
That is such a striking premise, especially when you think about how, obsessed our modern culture is with transcending our natural biology.
Well, yeah, we are constantly trying to fix ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. We treat human existence as if it is just flawed software. I mean, think about it. We want the restrictive diets, the freezing ice baths, the sensory deprivation tanks.
The weird meditation protocols where you have to wake up at 3 in the morning.
Yes. We just have this relentless drive to bypass the messy, mundane parts of living. We want to fast forward right to some state of pure enlightenment or, perfect productivity.
Which is precisely why we are doing this deep dive today, custom tailored for you, the listener, because we know you are looking for profound insights without drowning in the endless noise of self-improvement gurus.
It is exhausting out there.
It really is. So our mission today is to explore this incredibly fascinating text by an author named Shrifeng. It was written for members of a group called Lifechanyuan, and the text is titled, Cultivation and Practice Should Align with Nature.
And just to set the proper context for you here,
Yeah.
this isn't just another modern self-help manifesto, not at all.
Right. It goes way back.
Way back. It is deeply entrenched in the ancient philosophy of Laozi and the Tao Te Ching. But the author takes those ancient concepts and uses them to formulate an argument that basically upends all our modern assumptions about spiritual and physical optimization.
It really turns everything on its head.
It does. The core thesis is that true wisdom and genuine spiritual cultivation have absolutely nothing to do with achieving supernatural feats.
Or denying your basic physical needs.
Exactly. In fact, it's the exact opposite. True wisdom is about harmonizing with the natural world and leaning entirely into your basic humanity.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we get too far ahead of ourselves, this immediately sets up a massive contradiction, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if the great secret to spiritual success and cosmic alignment is just to, go with the flow of nature, why do humans possess such a fierce, ingrained instinct to fight the current?
That is the big question.
Right. Like, why do we constantly try to hack and force and just overcomplicate our own growth?
Well, to understand why we are constantly trying to fight the current, we first have to really grasp the sheer scale of the current itself.
Okay. Walk me through that.
So the text begins by laying out this massive, cascading architecture of how the universe actually operates. It establishes a very clear chain of command.
A hierarchy of sorts.
Exactly. It argues that humans follow the laws of the Earth, meaning, we are completely bound by gravity, the changing of the seasons, the atmosphere we breathe.
Makes sense. We can't just float away.
Right. And then the Earth operates according to the laws of the solar system, the orbits, the gravitational pull of the sun.
And the solar system follows something bigger too, right?
Yes. The solar system adheres to the vast, incomprehensible laws of the Tao, and the Tao manifests directly through nature itself.
So it basically maps out a cosmic chain of custody.
I like that phrasing, yes.
We aren't just floating out here in a vacuum making up our own rules. We are subject to the Earth, which is subject to the stars, which is subject to the Tao.
Right. And at the very top of this hierarchy, or perhaps permeating the entirety of it really, is what the author refers to as the greatest creator.
But wait, we need to be clear about the mechanics of this greatest creator, right? Because this isn't some guy with a white beard.
No, definitely not. This isn't a micromanager sitting on a cloud issuing daily, highly specific commands to people.
Right.
The text describes this ultimate law as totally formless and shapeless. It governs everything effortlessly and entirely unseen.
So it's just the natural order of things.
Exactly. When natural processes happen, like when a forest grows or when a star collapses, or even just when a human being ages, that is the Tao unfolding. That is the will of the greatest creator in action.
So nature is not merely a backdrop for human drama. Nature is the literal manifestation of the ultimate law.
Yes.
And the text takes this so far as to explicitly state that everything operating according to natural laws is part of the way. And conversely, anything contradicting those natural biological processes is contrary to the universe itself.
And this is where the author takes that massive, abstract, cosmic concept and just grounds it squarely in human biology.
This was my favorite part.
It's so interesting. What's fascinating here is that the text frames our biological limitations not as flaws that need to be fixed, but as exquisite, deliberate protections.
Like built-in safety features.
Precisely. For example, human hearing is strictly limited to catching sounds between 20 and 20,000 hertz. And our vision is locked into perceiving light only between 400 and 700 nanometers.
Which is just a tiny, tiny sliver of reality.
It really is.
I mean, if you look at the entire electromagnetic spectrum, we are functionally blind and deaf to the vast majority of the universe's activity.
We absolutely are. But the author argues that if we could hear beyond 20,000 hertz, the sheer volume of universal noise would destroy us.
Really? Like what kind of noise?
Like the shifting of tectonic plates deep underground, the solar winds, or even the microscopic tearing of cellular structures inside our own bodies. Yeah, the text argues that hearing all of that would cause severe psychological and physical damage.
That sounds like a nightmare, honestly.
Right. And if we could perceive ultraviolet or infrared light all the time, our visual cortex would be so overwhelmed by data that we couldn't even adapt. We would literally go mad.
We just wouldn't survive the raw input of the cosmos.
Exactly. We are shielded from it for a reason.
It makes me think of wearing a heavy hazmat suit in a highly radioactive zone.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Like, you wouldn't complain that the thick visor restricts your peripheral vision, or that the heavy gloves make it really hard to type on your phone, because that restrictive suit is the only thing keeping the radiation from incinerating you.
Yes, the physical limits of the armor.
But let me challenge that premise for just a moment here, because human biology isn't completely static.
Joe.
What about neuroplasticity? We know that monks who meditate for decades can physically alter the gamma waves in their brains.
They do, yes.
And we know athletes can push their VO2 max to insane levels. Science shows human beings are incredibly malleable.
So are you saying that leveraging neuroplasticity or trying to stretch human capacity is a violation of nature?
Well, that is a crucial distinction to make. The text isn't arguing against learning, adapting, or fulfilling your physical potential within the human framework.
Okay, so going to the gym is fine.
Going to the gym is fine. The critique is fundamentally about the mechanism and the intent of our pursuits.
The intent?
Right. Stretching a muscle to reach its natural peak performance is aligned with nature. But trying to spiritually or physically mutate yourself so you no longer require sleep,
Yeah, that's a bit different.
or attempting to forcibly override your nervous system to access alternate dimensions, that is not natural adaptation.
Well,
Going back to your analogy, that is trying to take the hazmat suit off while you are still standing in the radioactive zone.
because we arrogantly assume we just don't need the armor anymore. We assume we have outgrown the human vessel. Precisely. And when we try to force our biology to transcend these limits, when we try to act like ethereal gods instead of flesh and blood humans, we aren't actually progressing.
We're doing damage.
We are intentionally breaking the specific biological filter that allows us to exist safely on this particular plane of reality.
But if breaking our biological filter is so harmful, it begs the question, why is the spiritual hack such a universal obsession?
It's everywhere.
It really is. And the author addresses this by pulling a quote directly from Laozi's Tao Te Ching, which says, "The great way is simple, yet people prefer shortcuts."
It is an incredibly sharp observation regarding the human ego. The natural way is entirely accessible, right? It's right in front of us. But human psychology assumes that if something is profoundly valuable, it cannot possibly be simple.
Oh, totally. We think it has to be a struggle.
We are conditioned to believe that enlightenment must be agonizingly difficult, deeply hidden, or reserved for just a select few who have unlocked some secret code.
And so we go looking for the secret menu. We want the cheat codes. The text actually lists some highly specific esoteric practices that people obsess over to try and force this enlightenment. For instance, the author talks about practitioners trying to forcefully regulate their Ren and Du channels,
Yes.
or obsessively trying to open the mysterious gate.
Right, and to understand why the author is criticizing these practices,
Mhm.
we have to look at what they actually are in context.
What are they?
Well, in traditional Chinese medicine and Taoist internal alchemy, the Ren and Du channels are the primary energy meridians running up the back and down the front of the human body.
Okay.
And the mysterious gate is considered the theoretical portal in the mind or body that, when opened, leads to full spiritual awakening.
But wait, are those practices foundational to Taoist tradition? Why is a Taoist text criticizing them?
In their purest, most natural form, yes, they are foundational.
Ugh.
But the author is criticizing the forceful regulation of them.
Ah, the forcing part.
Exactly. The mechanism of the Tao is natural unfolding. It is organic. Trying to artificially force energy or crew your meridians through sheer willpower or extreme physical distress is like ripping a cocoon open before the butterfly is fully formed.
Just because you are impatient.
Yes, you aren't cultivating nature, you are violating its timing. The same goes for the other practices mentioned in the text, like trying to refine mystical elixirs or intentionally inducing out-of-body experiences just to communicate with higher spiritual beings.
And the author doesn't just stop at the highly mystical, esoteric stuff. He takes direct aim at the mundane things people do to try and artificially purify themselves in everyday life.
He really goes down the list.
He does. He calls out people who stay awake at midnight to practice breathing techniques instead of just allowing their bodies to sleep.
Right.
He mentions breatharianism.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the attempt to live purely on environmental energy or air instead of consuming actual food.
Which is incredibly dangerous.
Definitely. And he points out people who retreat into total isolated wilderness instead of enjoying communal human life.
The hermits.
Right. And perhaps most amusingly, he heavily criticizes those who refuse to eat perfectly natural foods like ginger, onions, garlic, and peppers.
Just to avoid strong flavors.
No, it's all in the pursuit of achieving some imagined, pure, fragrant, immortal body.
Oh, because the assumption is that an ascended, immortal being wouldn't sully themselves with the pungent smell of a garlic clove.
Which, frankly, sounds like a miserable existence. I mean, if the price of cosmic immortality is a life completely devoid of garlic and onions, I will gladly remain immortal.
Yeah, no thanks.
Keep your mysterious gate, I want the garlic bread.
I am right there with you. It is a funny detail, but when you look at people voluntarily starving themselves of sleep and natural foods, this raises an important question about their actual baseline psychology.
What do you mean?
Well, what is the true motivation here? According to Sheffing's text, the desire for these extreme shortcuts actually stems from the classic Buddhist trio of poisons:
Which are...
greed, anger, and ignorance.
Wait, I need you to explain the mechanism there, because greed seems like a really odd word choice.
It does seem counterintuitive.
I mean, most people would look at a person sitting alone in a cave, eating nothing but plain rice and avoiding onions, and think they are the literal opposite of greedy. They look entirely detached from the material world.
They might be detached from material wealth, sure. But the text argues they are steeped in spiritual materialism.
Spiritual materialism, that is a heady concept.
It is. In these philosophical frameworks, wanting to become an immortal, a Buddha, or a spirit is often driven by the ultimate form of ego. It is a greed for cosmic status.
Wow. So they just want a promotion.
Basically. The author explicitly states that people seek these shortcuts because they resent being human. They are rejecting the specific life the greatest creator naturally provided them, while desperately reaching for a supernatural state that was not assigned to them.
So the ascetic in the cave isn't necessarily dissolving their ego at all. They might just be trying to acquire a higher spiritual rank than the rest of us.
Exactly. The desire to possess supernatural powers, to outrank other humans spiritually, or to bypass the human curriculum entirely, that is fundamentally a greedy impulse.
That makes so much sense when you frame it that way.
It is rooted in ignorance of the Tao's design. The text explicitly categorizes this desperate grasping for supernatural status as a deviant path.
For anyone who grew up revering the ascetic monk in the cave, here's where it gets really interesting. Because this text is taking traditional asceticism and actively flipping it completely on its head.
It is a massive paradigm shift.
It really is. Because if you look at almost any major world religion, we have historically celebrated the person who denies their flesh. We revere the martyr who fasts for 40 days, or the mystic who stays awake all night in prayer.
We do, because culturally we just conflate suffering with discipline. We assume that if something hurts, it must be producing spiritual growth.
But Schwiffing is arguing that denying your body sleep when your neurological system is exhausted, or denying your body food when your cells require energy, is not a profound sign of spiritual discipline. It is a profound sign of arrogance.
Arrogance is the precise mechanism at play here. It is wildly arrogant for a human being to look at the exquisitely designed, self-regulating biological rhythms of the human body rhythms forged by the laws of the Earth and the solar system, and just declare, I know better than the universe.
I am going to override this.
Right, I'm going to hack it. The author argues that suppressing natural affection between people or abandoning the messy joy of living in a community to go hide in a forest is an act of hostility against the way.
It is a rejection of the environment you were explicitly designed for.
Exactly.
Okay, so if supernatural shortcuts are a deviant path, and extreme discipline and self-denial are actually rooted in arrogance, what does this text actually prescribe?
Good question.
Right, like, if we aren't supposed to hack our way out of our humanity, what is the alternative?
The alternative prescribed by the text sounds incredibly mundane at first, but it is actually a radical act of surrender. The author asks a very direct question. Why were humans placed on Earth?
And the answer?
The answer is completely devoid of mysticism. We were placed here to live honestly and simply as humans.
Just to be human.
That's it. Not to seek to become gods, not to become Buddhas or immortals, and equally, not to degenerate into ghosts, demons, or animals. Our one and only task, the sole purpose of our current existence, is to fully express and perfect our human nature.
And the text spells out what perfecting human nature looks like in a very grounded way. It says, eat when it's time to eat. Drink when your body requires hydration.
Simple as that.
Sleep when your brain needs to rest. Work when it is time to be productive, and indulge when it's time to enjoy the fruits of that labor.
It comprehensively validates the physical human experience. It even goes out of its way to note that expressing love, sharing affection, and making love are deeply, perfectly aligned with the Tao.
Wow, so no weird purity tests.
None. It completely strips away the dogma and shame that so many spiritual traditions layer on top of the physical body.
It makes me think of a structural engineering problem.
How so?
Well, imagine an architect who is obsessed with building this beautiful, glowing glass penthouse 100 stories in the sky, but they absolutely refuse to pour the concrete foundation first.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Yeah, they think digging in the dirt and pouring cement is beneath them. They just want the penthouse. Well, the laws of physics dictate that without the foundation, any structure they try to build will instantly collapse.
That is a highly accurate way to view the author's logic.
Yeah.
The human experience is the concrete foundation.
Exactly. The text essentially says that until you perfect your human nature, your foundation is totally unstable. If you haven't mastered just being a decent, honest human being who eats, sleeps, works, and loves naturally, trying to ascend to sainthood is a structural impossibility.
You are violating the physics of the universe.
Right. And if you refuse to do the basic human coursework, you are, as the text explicitly warns, abandoning the hope of ever reaching a higher level.
You cannot skip the curriculum. The messy, beautiful, limited human experience is the curriculum.
There is no fast-forward button.
None. The text argues that when human nature is finally perfected, our mission here is complete. And only then can we organically transition to whatever the next level of existence might be.
Yeah.
But it cannot be forced a moment before it is naturally time.
So for the listener who's constantly trying to better themselves, the person who wakes up every day trying to optimize their career, their relationships, and their mindset. So what does this all mean practically?
It's a fair question.
Does aligning with nature mean you just drop all your goals, abandon your ambitions, and become completely passive?
Not at all. Passivity is just another form of extreme behavior. Instead of just looking at daily habits, if we connect this to the bigger picture of Taoist philosophy, we arrive at the deeply rooted concept of Wu Wei.
Wu Wei.
Yes. This is often translated as non-action or effortless action. But we really have to be careful with that translation. Non-action doesn't mean doing absolutely nothing.
Right. It's not just sitting on the couch all day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It means acting without unnatural force.
Okay, but how does that actually work in practice?
Think about the aerodynamics of flying an airplane. When a pilot wants to fly straight and level, they don't sit there gripping the yoke, constantly fighting the wind and forcing the plane to stay steady.
That would be exhausting.
It would be exhausting and actually dangerous. Instead, they adjust the trim tabs on the wings. They find the exact aerodynamic sweep spot where the airflow over the wings naturally holds the plane level.
Ah, I see.
The pilot is still flying the plane, and they are moving at 500 miles an hour, but they aren't fighting the physics of the air. The
Hmm.
plane is practically flying itself. That is Wedgeway. It's about reducing drag, not eliminating effort.
I love that. You are still moving forward, you are still progressing, but you aren't white-knuckling the controls. You are working with the physics of your life rather than battling them.
Precisely. The text states that the sage, the truly wise person, discards extremism, excess, and arrogance. True wisdom unfolds effortlessly, just like the trimmed airplane.
It's beautiful, really.
It is. The greatest creator doesn't govern the universe by shouting commands or forcing outcomes. Things are simply allowed to follow their natural course. So for you, the listener, applying this ancient framework means taking a hard, honest look at where you are white-knuckling the controls in your own life.
Where are you forcing outcomes?
Exactly. Success as a human being doesn't actually require grueling, unnatural measures.
The author gives us this profound line that really stuck with me. He says, "There is no need for lofty ambitions to succeed as a human being. Freeing oneself from worldly attachments is enough."
That is an immense breath of fresh air.
It really is a profound psychological relief. It means you don't need a miraculous shortcut to be valuable. You don't need a secret breathing technique, a hidden monastery, or some crazy 15-step morning routine to achieve sanctity.
Not at all.
Simply following the natural order and perfecting your everyday human nature is entirely enough.
It is genuinely amazing how much ground we've covered in this deep dive.
We really went everywhere. We started all the way out at the macroscopic level, looking at the cosmic hierarchy, how the Earth follows the solar system, and the solar system follows the unseen, formless laws of the Tao.
Right.
Then we zoomed all the way into the microscopic limits of human biology, learning that our inability to hear a dog whistle or see ultraviolet light isn't a flaw, but a piece of exquisite biological armor keeping us safe from the deafening radiation of the universe.
And from understanding that armor, we explored how the human ego, driven by a greedy, materialistic desire to be spiritually special, constantly tries to strip that armor off.
We just can't help ourselves.
Yeah. We really can't. We try to force open energy channels, starve ourselves of sleep, and deprive ourselves of garlic, all because we mistakenly believe that enduring self-inflicted suffering will let us skip the hard work of simply being human.
But we learned today that the ultimate spiritual hack is actually to stop hacking entirely.
Let it go.
For you, the listener, if you have been feeling crushed by the modern pressure to constantly optimize every single hour of your life, let this deep dive serve as a permission slip.
I love that, a permission slip.
Eating your meals with enjoyment, getting a full night's sleep when you are tired, doing your daily work with integrity, and genuinely connecting with the people you love, that is not a distraction from your spiritual path.
No, it's not.
That is the path. You are already perfectly aligned with the universe just by living out your human design naturally.
It completely reframes the burden of the human experience. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final lingering idea to mull over.
Oh, I like where this is going.
We spent a lot of time discussing how our physical sensory limits, like our inability to hear beyond 20,000 hertz, are actually brilliant, built-in protections designed to keep our neurological systems from overloading.
Right, the hazmat suit.
The hazmat suit. But what if that same principle applies to more than just our eyes and ears?
What do you mean?
What if our emotional and intellectual limitations are built-in protections too?
Oh, wow.
What if our inability to process every tragedy in the world, or our failure to intellectually comprehend every cosmic truth, isn't a weakness at all? What if the everyday human flaws, the vulnerabilities, and the emotional boundaries we constantly try to hack or meditate away, what if they're actually the exact, perfectly designed armor we need to fully, safely, and beautifully experience this specific level of existence?